Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Nigeria's government tries to talk union leaders down from a threat to call a national strike. Industrial action threats come in response to a recent massive hike in the cost of petrol. Also, the decades-old struggle for an independent Biafran state in southeastern Nigeria continues. We hear from some of the activists who claim that the central government treats them like second-class citizens. And as movie makers and shakers from around the world gather here in France for the iconic Cannes Film Festival, we hear from some African up-and-comers about their hopes and screen projects. Well, first, Nigeria's government's been trying to negotiate with union leaders to head off threats of a national strike over petrol prices, which saw a 67% hike last week. Now, that happened after the government stopped subsidising fuel imports. The continent's top economy is under pressure over the global plunge in crude oil prices, rising inflation and falling domestic production. Industrial action, if it goes ahead, could see government offices, airports, banks and markets shut down at a time when the country can ill afford the disruption. Chika Odoa joins us with more from Abuja. Chika, tell us why petrol prices have spiked quite so drastically in a country whose main business is oil.
Yes, Nigeria is Africa's largest crude oil producer, but it does not have the refineries and the capacity to actually produce crude oil to make it petrol. So that's been the major issue plaguing Nigeria. Actually, Nigerians are very embarrassed and very ashamed that, yes, we're producing the raw material of crude oil, but we do not yet have the technical know-how or the actual infrastructure to produce. And of course, also an issue that's affecting us is that in the Niger Delta region, which produces the oil, militants are actually destroying and bursting pipelines and doing all manners of sabotage.
Well, we're going to be staying in Nigeria for our next item. A separatist group there has said that a state crackdown on rallies has strengthened the resolve of supporters of an independent Biafran state. Members of the indigenous people of Biafra movement allege that dozens of activists have been killed and many more injured in protests since November last year.
26-year-old Chinedu Iwu fights for a dream some thought had been crushed in 1970, Biafra's independence from Nigeria. The territory, mainly populated by the Igbo people, has long had a difficult relationship with the central government. Moses says police have been heavy-handed with separatists.
We are there protesting, we are not even holding any arms. We are there jubilation, singing Biafra song, IPOP, One Family, and our Biafra song. So we have an attack with army people. Unfortunately, when I want to run, they shot my leg and I fell down.
Just like Iwu, many people in the southeastern region feel treated like second-class citizens, especially since the northerner Muhammadu Buhari was elected president.
We are Nigerians and we still believe that we are Nigerians. If they thought that we are not qualified to be in this country, they should let us go and be on our own. We cannot say we are one, but we are being intimidated. The government should do something to stop the intimidation and humiliation and destroying of our property, our life.
In October, the arrest of the secessionist leader Nnamdi Kanu on charges of treason prompted outrage among activists. In recent months, dozens have been killed during clashes between authorities and separatists. Some fear the violence could flare almost 50 years after the end of the civil war, which killed over 1 million people.
World powers say that they'll be willing to supply Libya's new unity government with weapons to counter Islamic State group and other militants operating amidst the chaos of the lawless country. That will require workarounds from a UN arms embargo. The announcement came after an international meeting in Vienna about how best to shore up the fragile new GNA leadership. It's struggling to consolidate support within Libya and is still being challenged by a rival administration. The US has said that helping the GNA is a delicate balance.
The United States stands ready and the international community stands ready to provide humanitarian, economic, and security support to the new Libyan government on their request. And right now, the government is requesting assistance in certain ways. We're not talking about troops and boots and that kind of intervention.
In Kenya, protesters calling for the dissolution of the Electoral Commission once again clashed with police on Monday. Tear gas was used on crowds in Nairobi, and some demonstrators accused police officers of beating them with truncheons. Rallies were also held in other towns in the country in support of opposition leader and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, who accuses electoral officials of being biased towards President Kenyatta. This ahead of elections due next August. A move to formally license car-hailing app Uber in Johannesburg's province sparked run-ins between traditional taxi drivers and those from the online-based service. The regional government of Gauteng, which also oversees Pretoria, has vowed not to reverse its decision to greenlight Uber, despite the friction caused. Well, bringing it back here to France, the Cannes Film Festival is now in its second week. Up-and-coming talents from around the world are trying to grab their share of the limelight, looking for funding, contacts, and the means to one day get themselves into the official selections. Our teams met one Zimbabwean couple with a very personal project to sell.
We had a cocktail party.
Yeah.
Ben and Tapiwa have come halfway around the world from Zimbabwe to Cannes to tell a story, the story of their marriage. Their union is legal but not recognised by Tapiwa's family, and the social cost is heavy, leaving her cut off from her relatives.
My film is a personal story that at the same time highlights the fact that women in Zimbabwe should be free to do what they want, because the law in my country says they can do what they want. So that's what my film is about. It's a woman being able to have a place in society.
11,000 kilometres from home, Tapiwa and Ben have been selected for a special programme to nurture new talents. They are here for 10 days to make the contacts that could turn a documentary dream into reality.
So you meet all the people who really matter as far as helping you to shape your story, finding finance, and contacts really, exchanging with other filmmakers.
Half the world of cinema is currently in town, so the pressure is on to stand out. Today, the duo are getting 15 minutes to present their vision to movie professionals and potential backers. At this early stage, there's no trailer as such, just some rushers for the audience to judge by. There's plenty of feedback, including from the influential Ford Charitable Foundation.
So you could script it a little bit,
Yeah.
and have yourself be an actor in it.
It's nerve-wracking, exhausting, but potentially life-changing. A kind of cinematic speed dating that might one day put Tapiwa and Ben's story on the Cannes big screen.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa. Thanks very much for joining us, and please do so again if you can. Take care.